And this it could be recorded for quality purposes and for any yeah, future marketing video. But will be mostly just me talking anyway. Benjamin, are you okay? I think you are outside or something. You not convenient for you to talk. And hello, Dex Day. Welcome, welcome. Shit, I think the internet. Okay. Um. So yeah, so my name is Tuan Le, and I am the founder of the Singapore Psychology Meetup Group, as well as Our Human Minds training group. I have a website, ourhumanminds.com, where I have training on self-awareness, on personality psychology, which technically is about the ability to read other people as well as yourself using personality science for better self-awareness and self-confidence. Um, yeah. So anyone would like to introduce yourself? Benjamin, feel free to type in. Elaine, you want to do a quick introduction?
What kind of introduction? I mean, it's like, as in,
Yeah,
what
just
hobbies or
your
what?
name, what do you do, and yeah, what is your goal today?
What do I do? I'm a trainer. I'm also a coach.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So what do I do? I do all this. um, what did I do today? Basically, today I try to complete whatever things I have to do, and then get ready for the next week.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I think I saved your WhatsApp as Aileen when you're supposed to be Elaine.
I didn't even know we are on WhatsApp actually.
Sorry?
I'm not sure that we are on WhatsApp actually.
Oh, okay. I think I might mistook you for Aileen.
Ah, yeah. I think you
Mistake.
got it mixed up. Yes.
Sorry, yeah. You want to say
Because
you?
I was not aware of last week's so called physical meetup. I am also, until I heard of it from you just now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I mistook. There's another person named Aileen, and
Yeah.
she have
Okay,
been,
that's all right.
and she goes in the previous meetup, and she have been asking me for the link and everything to do quick recap of the previous meetup. Oh, interesting. So you're a coach, and I mean, sorry, what exactly is your coaching in?
I am a lot into very passionate about mental health,
Oh, okay.
emotional well-being, basically relationships, things like that, more like soft skills,
Mm,
not so much hardcore, as in like those, I don't know, maybe engineering, or I don't know, whatever, maybe it's something like career coach also.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, your service.
It's all interrelated actually.
Mm. I guess yours, mine is quite similar, I think. Okay,
Sorry.
thank you, Elaine. Yeah, I think
Okay.
your service and mine is quite similar. I say. Um, thank you, Elaine. Anyone else about Dex? Hi, Rainy. Rainy, welcome, welcome. Dex, are you there? Are you there? Oh no, not sure. Rani, you want to do a quick introduction to other members?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
hi. Are you Rani?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
This is I just want to know, I'm curious about this. I'm currently working as an office administrator for a construction firm. I
Mm,
manage 3 offices. We have about 70 staff. in 3 offices, some of them on site. So
Mm.
I've been working with the company for about 10 years now.
Mm. So what are your goals in this relationship webinar? What is some pain point you are trying to solve? Like, is it workplace?
Uh, Not really trying to solve, more to be in tune with my colleagues and family, but more my colleagues because, every person's character is slightly different. Some that bit resistant, some that bit reclux, some are introverted, some are extroverted. Very much both. I need to reach
Mm.
out to some of them. Some of them are foreigners,
Mm.
communication breakdown. So I have to be the in-between person between management and my colleague in some cases.
Mm.
So I need to build up the confidence with them before I can relate to, you know, communicating to the management the issues that they are facing right now in a country that they've never been before, in a culture they've never experienced before.
Mm. With the one you are managing, the
Yes,
workers and stuff.
not workers, they're
Mm.
colleagues.
Colleagues.
Yeah, we're all almost at the same level. My company doesn't employ workers.
Mm. Okay.
Most of them are like project managers, system managers, that kind. Yeah.
Maybe can you be a bit more specific? Like, is there any particular issue or instance
Well, it's a
that you
bit
feel like?
difficult for them to interact with the management because sometimes, because of the communication breakdown, language barrier, some
Mm.
of them are from Korea,
Mm.
some of them are from Myanmar.
Mm.
Myanmar is not so bad, but the Koreans have a bit of a problem with the language English. So I need to be the middle person. They have like admin issues, HR issues. I have to mediate, you know, in such
Mm.
situations, and they get very stressed out, because of the communication. So I have to take them aside and try to understand their problem so I can actually relate it to the management and try to find a solution for them. Most of them are here between 3 to 6 months, but it's very
Mm.
stressful when they've never been out of their country.
That's okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Danny. Anyone else would like to share before we move? I think we probably have that is all the people we have today. I think usually a lot of people don't really turn up, or quite a lot request for the recording. So I will send them a recording later. Wei Yan, check again. Can you hear me? Never mind. Okay. We're gonna have more opportunity to share later. So let me start with some of the content that we have been looking forward today. I will do some quick introduction to some theory about the factors of love, because when I talk about relationship, the first thing usually come to mind to people is love. But it can also be love, non-romantic love as well, definitely. So I will give some theory and for us to reflect on some of our past relationship pattern. Then we talk about the biggest hindrance to relationship happiness and understanding, ego and naive realism. Then I will give two psychological frameworks or tools for you to improve on your people reading skills, and then use it to kind of reflect on what is your pattern, what is your preference for dating and relationship, what is your ideal match, and I will back them up with some statistic later. And we will have some discussion on compatibility versus acceptance. How well can you empathize with your partner, and Q&A. So components of love. So I would like to point out the very common sense conflicting factors that most of us would notice is attraction versus compatibility, especially long-term compatibility. I think many of us have had experienced before, where we experience very strong attraction to certain people, but later as you slowly learn about the person, you realize that you're not very compatible, especially when it comes to values. So is how much is attraction important to you as compared to compatibility? What if someone is very boring, doesn't give you any spark, but in the long term you are very compatible? How do you feel about that? But yeah, I think I noticed that, and a lot also agree that a lot of people get blindsided, attracted by the short-term chemistry, and they didn't, and because of and you get attached to someone too soon, and it just results in heartbreak later on, as we try very hard to make things work. So is there any way to quickly read someone's personalities or read through their patterns to save yourself time and heartbreak later? There might be ways. Another slightly more complicated theory that I would like to bring up beyond that is the triangular theory of love by Robert Sternberg. It's quite a famous theory where the research showed that there are three the three main components of love, which is intimacy, passion, and commitment. Intimacy is so intimacy is the experience, can be the shared value as well. That easily take time to build, but sometimes if you have shared value, shared background, shared religions, it gives you a sense of intimacy and familiarity. Passion, as you understand, it can be physical or mental attraction towards someone. Usually you discover this very early on, whether you are attracted to someone or not. And commitment, usually this one will take the longest to build. Unless you are like, you're born in the same family, you are siblings, or you are like in an arranged marriage where you have no choice but you are committed to that person. Usually in modern day, it take quite a while to build commitment when you're very sure that you want to commit to somebody. And it's very interesting that Robert assumed that, okay, a consummate love or perfect love should have all three components. But a lot of time people fall into one of the three not so perfect type of love. Romantic love, which is only passion and intimacy, companionate intimacy and commitment, and fatuous love, which is a lot of passion and commitment, but it may be too fast, too soon, and no intimacy yet. So maybe we can take a quick minute to reflect on our past pattern of relationship. So what do you think is usually the type of relationship that you end up with in the past? Let me try to do a quick poll here. Actually, I can do. It's anonymous, so be launch. So I have launched a poll for you to select. I'm just curious. Were you more on the romantic side of love, or fatuous, or companionate? Companionate, I guess, would be a bit slightly more boring, I would say. Like just like friend or like long-term friends kind of thing, friendship. Good. I see a lot of romantic love. Okay. Yeah, I guess in the past I have experienced both companionate and maybe more companionate and maybe romantic love. Uh okay, so we have half romantic and half fatuous. And no one I guess we tend to reserve the companionate love for our best friends, family members. So we wouldn't say our relationship is to be companionate. Okay, thank you very much. Share results. I think I forgot to say results. Stop sharing. Yep. half romantic and half fatuous. So the role of personalities, because I I founded the Singapore personality community because we have a lot of people who share the passion for learning about personality science like MBTI or Enneagram, which I feel is that it have many benefits for people reading skills, self-awareness, and even mental health. Because if we have good self-awareness, we would have good relationship, we would have understand why we do what we do. Because a lot of time mental health have to do with we don't know what we want in life, and we tend to burn ourselves out when we lose that passion in life. I think it's not a lot of time. It's not about. I mean, yeah, a lot of time it's not about working too much or being, being work too much, but it's more about you don't know what you are working for. You know. Okay, I'll answer Rani's question later. Okay. So what the definition of personality is that is a consistent underlying cognitive and emotional patterns behind surface behaviors. So if just surface behavior, if you first meet someone, it's just a tip of the iceberg. Their personalities and their past experiences are like the bottom of the iceberg. You can think of the personality is like the skeleton, the framework like the skeleton, and then all the unique or the personal experiences just fill up that framework, fill up the meat of the skeleton. So if you learn about personalities, you know that there are 8 or 4 or 16 or whatever different skeletons that you can quickly see the shape of someone. You can predict the behaviors of someone if they belong to certain personalities, and that will save you a lot of time and give you a lot of clarity in the future when you start to get more information to understand about the meat of their personality, of who they are. So in terms of attraction and compatibility, I think it affects both attraction and compatibility. If you meet someone, and especially about I'm not that definitely it won't affect your physical attraction because it's personalities, but it definitely influence your cognitive attraction, emotional attraction. If you are on the same wavelengths, if you communicate on the similar wavelengths, it's much easier for you to understand each other and build other factor of love later on. And definitely compatibility as well. If you are both introvert, for example, you have a lot of shared values when it comes to family, or how you want to spend your time, how you value a person. Many other, or if you're both feeling or you're both thinking, you value certain things. I will demonstrate later on. Yeah, so there's a lot of benefit to know about personalities. So the biggest hindrance to love and empathy is your ego bias, our ego. So this part, I will start talking about how to truly understand and empathize and love someone, how to overcome our own bias lenses. There is this concept called the ego and ego development, where, I mean, we are all born as a young child, young adult. We start to form our ego, a healthy ego. We tend to, so most of us manage to build something that we are proud of about our ego, our identity. But at the same time, it's not the most mature phase. We tend to see things very black and white. We have a lot of ego, and we have so-called ego defense. Like if someone don't agree with us, if someone thinks so different, we think they are wrong. We think they are evil. We don't allow room for gray area, either wrong or not wrong. So it's related to naive realism, where we assume that people have to think like us, where there's only one way to see the world. And ego release is a more mature phase, supposed to happen in mid-adult, but a lot of adults never reach the ego release stage. I'm sure you have met people who maybe they are very senior, like 50 or even 60 years old, like my parents. Very egoistic, I will tell you. Very egoistic. They fight about the same thing over and over again. They would never want to admit that They want to see their side of the story. So if there's not enough opportunity to develop a more nuanced and mature way of looking at yourself and other people, you will get stuck in this ego trap. And it's very hard for you to truly love and empathize with other people or someone if they're just a shadow. You're just casting a shadow. You are just seeing them from the way you want to see them. It's a result in naive realism, seeing the world as only one way of seeing it, black and white. Another interesting concept I want to bring up related to this is a Pygmalion project. Not sure if anyone familiar with the term Pygmalion project before. Anyone? So, so technically, it's about the story of this young sculptor in the Greek sculptor, where he transformed a marble into the perfect shape of a woman. He was so dedicated to it that it was so perfect that the sculpture turned into life and become his lover. So usually it's referred to, if you have a high expectation for someone, for your employees, for example, they will perform well and they will try to meet your expectation. But I want to use this term to describe something a bit more negative. Is that a lot of us, when we enter a relationship, we expect your partner to change according to what we want. It's another way to use a Pygmalion project. We try to shape our partner to a perfect version that we think should be perfect, like us. We want to build something that we think should be perfect husband, perfect wife. Either similar to you, or perfect something that we think is should be ideal, instead of accepting them for who they are. So I want you to keep this in mind of why I want to point this out, because this is the main goal, to overcome this, to reach the ego release that just reach, to truly empathize someone instead of trying to forcing them to become who you want to be. Any questions so far? So yeah, I quickly share my story. So I was very much like the young sculptor, the person. I was naive as well when I was younger. I was idealistic about relationships. I idealized certain people that I shouldn't idealize. In the past, I tend to have this not very successful relationship pattern where I tend to idealize women, or women who are highly logical and independent, like highly career driven, because of whatever reason, maybe because of my mother, or because she was not very available, or whatever expectation I have. I think that the ideal woman should be very independent, very logical. But the problem is, either they don't give me enough time, I was very unhappy, or they don't like me. Was there something wrong? At the same time, so people who don't fit this ideal type, people who like me for who I am, I find them boring, or whichever reason, I don't like them. So, and I realize that now, looking back, that I do have certain patterns that I should have learned that is not healthy in the way of how I expect things to be. And so I have managed. I believe that I have managed much better in my expectation of people, not just in dating but also in workplace. I used to be a lot more impatient. I used to be critical of other people, but now I think I get along much better. I am more patient. I'm more confident, calm in the workplace. Like whether I'm doing this webinar with other people or in the workplace with my management, for example, it's much better. So I learned from trial and error, definitely. No one can escape that. You learn the theory, but you need trial and errors. But with the experiences, if you don't have the framework, the theory to back it up, it's like you are wasting a lot of your life, your time and experiences without learning much. So best is that you learn about. So that's what I learned as well, is to personality psychology, personality science, to reach a more balanced perspective. I keep accumulating experiences. I filter them to the frameworks, and I learn a lot of insights about people and love. And that is why I set up this community. I run my own coaching business in personality science and self-awareness. I have been spending about 7 or 8 years learning about MBTI, Enneagram, those like most popular frameworks. I am a certified type coach, which I'm a certified to coach people in typology or in personality types. Yeah, and I have been expanding the reach of the community beyond just Singapore. I have been inviting international experts as well to talk on different topics. So if you follow our online webinars, you know that we have very regular talks uh, on different topics. So a quick introduction also is that I'm building and developing with my partner Tirora on a self-awareness mastery series. It's a 6-week program to help you refine and strengthen your identity and self-awareness using personality science. In particular, is MBTI and Enneagram. I'm not sure if you have heard of that before, MBTI and Enneagram, but I think they are the most popular frameworks that complement each other very well. MBTI is more about your cognitive patterns, while Enneagram is more about your emotional patterns. Why do you do what you want to do, and how to overcome your emotional addiction. It will help you build a very accurate foundation in the future for people reading skills. So, as promised, I will be going through 2 frameworks. This one is the first, Jungian Psychology Foundation, where I will cover introvert and extroverts, thinking and feeling, and intuition and sensing, to give you some basics understanding of MBTI or Jungian psychology to use for people reading. So far, any questions so far? And let me check the chat. I know. Yeah, and again, if anyone is convenient, I would love to see some faces and we can have discussion. If it's not convenient, then it's fine. So, Jungian psychology, we use frameworks, we use stereotypes very often in our daily life to deal with people. Most of us are never trained to be psychologists or whatever social scientists, so we use stereotypes or some different frameworks. The most popular one is probably horoscopes. I admit that it's very fun. I wouldn't say outright that it's wrong or anything, but I would say it's not the most scientific thing or have the most learning potential. But I think it's probably the most popular framework out there that a lot of people use. It's fun. Then we use our own stereotypes. I'm not going to mention them here, but we have stereotype against certain races, certain nationality, certain generation. We say Gen Z like this, Gen X like this millennial like that. So I'm sure in the workplace we have all these stereotype. Or the most common one are like men versus women. I'm sure we have certain stereotype of men versus women. How accurate are they? How scientific are they? That's why I want to propose Enneagram and MBTI, which are some more, I wouldn't say the most scientific because they are newer theory, but they are the balance between being recent and very comprehensive. Enneagram is a few hundred years old, have been used by many psychologists as well in their training. MBTI is about 50, 70 years old. It was made in the 1940s or 50s, and it's very popular. It's probably a very popular psychology test in the world nowadays. Big Five and the ISC, you may have heard of them. Big Five is, but they might be more scientific but they are more like tests. They say you are introvert, extroverts, you are DEI or S or C, but from my experience, they are very much corporate, and there's not much room for you to read further or learn further. It's very much just for workplace setting. In my training with me, people, we think that many benefits for you to know. Yeah, it's very it was built by the foundation of that is by Jungian psychology or Carl Jung. It's popular, but it's backed by Carl Jung's personality psychology. He's very famous. A lot of people use his theory for different to build other things. So there's a lot of room for self-examination and self-study in the future. There are diverse application. You can use it for dating, learning about your career path, resolving conflict, interaction style, communication style. Then there are many other sub-frameworks that based on the same foundation, just socionics, any benefit. So if you have the right foundation, you will stand to benefit a lot in the long term. Quick overview. So I'm talking about now about MBTI. I propose the learning of cognitive functions, which is slightly more advanced than the standard MBTI test. I think it's a bit shallow, so I tend to propose on the journey to learn about 8 cognitive functions. So you probably have heard of extroversion and introversion, you know. But there are also 2 ways to perceive or take in information, 2 perceiving functions, intuition and sensing, which I will show you later. Then once you have the information, you decide, you judge, either in a more logical way, thinking way, or more feeling driven way. And as a result, you have 2 multiplied by 4, you have 8 cognitive functions. It's quite advanced, but it's a very beautiful system. And if you have taken the 16 personality or MBTI test before, you know there's 16 personality, each have like 4 letters like INFP, ISFP, INTJ. So all of the personality, all of us have these 8 cognitive functions. We all have all of them, like different muscle in our brains. But depending on what is your personality type, they are arranged in different order, in different strengths. The top one is very strong, and then you have the weaker functions. So if you learn about the theory, you will learn about what is your strength and weaknesses. So before we go into the theory, think about someone that is special to you, and you have had trouble understanding or communicating with them. It can be your boss, it can be your ex, it can be someone special to you, and you try to understand them. Just jot down the name of the person, and later after the theory, you will evaluate them and try to make sense of who they are, what is their personalities. Then, do everyone have someone in mind? Benjamin, Puyan, you there? You okay? You have someone in mind for the exercise? Anyway, just needs a name. We will have more time to talk later. Dex, Elaine, okay. So cognitive preferences. When we talk about cognitive functions or cognitive preferences, what does it mean by when you prefer thinking over feeling, or introversion over extroversion? It's like your left and right hand. If you take a piece, now you can try it now. Take a piece of paper and a pen. Try to, if you are right-handed, you normally would sign your name with your right hand. Try to sign your name with your left hand. How do you feel? Try it. You feel that it feels awkward. It feels clumsy. It doesn't feel like you know. You feel like your left hand is not you, who you are. Your right hand is who you are. This is the same thing about feeling or thinking or introversion, extroversion, intuition, sensing. It's like our mind have different opposing muscle. We use something so much, it become part of your identity, and we reject the other, or we dismiss of the other functions. Of course, sometimes for complicated tasks, we have to use both hand, left and right hand together for complicated tasks, but we are often very sure what is our dominant hand. So it's the same thing about cognitive functions. Really interesting. I think usually left-handed people have to use both hand more because they are born and they are nurtured in a right-handed environment in school and everything, so they have to force to be more balanced. So I think that's the case. So I would expect a lot of left-handed people to be way more ambidextrous. Anyway, thanks for sharing. So a lot of us have heard of the term introvert and extrovert. Anyone want to share what is their understanding of introvert and extrovert? What is your understanding? Anyone want to share what you would think of when you think about? Rani say introvert is a shy person. Okay. The extrovert is not, is a social person, I guess. Anyone else? Yeah. Recharge energy. Yeah, Benjamin, I think that is some of the popular, slightly more advanced understanding is about recharging energy. But it's similar to the outspoken and, not outspoken part because, yeah, it's drain your energy. Okay. Yeah, so I think a lot of people in pop in pop psychology, a lot of people know what is introvert, extrovert, and they use it very freely. But it's better to go back to the true original definition by Carl Jung, the forefather of MBTI, to truly understand what is the correct definition, because understanding introversion and extroversion is very important if you want to learn further about the 8 cognitive function and MBTI, because they are everywhere. All of them will use some form of introversion or extroversion. And I think it's way more abstract and complex than you think. So I think I usually caution and ask people to really think through what is the definition. So before you understand introversion, extroversion, you will think about the two worlds. Carl Jung proposed that for any self-aware psychological being, we are aware of two different worlds. The outer world of objectives of people and activities, and what is outside of your identity. And anyone who is self-aware should be aware of a more subjective inner world that make up your identity, who you are, that are separated from the outer world. There's other people, other things, other ideas that are not you, and their ideas, their things, their memories, interpretation, priority that are you, that make who you are. We can't, otherwise, yeah, I mean, we both need both of them. Anyone would have serious issue if they only see one. What belongs to your identity. So this is the basis. So the correct definition is that, and is your attitude, your priority towards these two worlds. Extroverts seek to prioritize, seek to adapt to the objective feedback from the outer world, of other people's feedback, to interact with the environment. That's why they tend to be more sociable. They tend to be more responsive because they prioritize the environment. It can be people, rules, feeling, tradition, ideas. As long as it's outside, not part of their identity, they are more outwards oriented. Introvert is the opposite. They prioritize their identity, their preference, their ideas, their past. The subjectivity is the idea. The key word here is subjectivity. If extrovert tend to look at the world like looking at this photograph of this bridge in a very clear way, introvert in a way they are more like subject artists who value their subjective interpretation a lot more. So you have 4 different artists draw 4 different paintings of the bridge. And to them, these are more important. The subjective interpretation is more important than the actual photograph itself. That is one way of seeing it, you know. So think about yourself. Are you more prioritizing when you make, especially when very important decisions, or look at your patterns, especially when you're younger? Do you someone who prefer to listen deeply to your identity to make decisions, or you are more responsive, you are more, you know, adaptive, you are more, you have a looser sense of your identity? These are some quick ideas, you know, of how to identify introvert, extrovert. Extroverts, they are fast talker, busy bees. They like to wear colorful clothes. Lifestyle, they are more fast-paced people. They have tend to have a bigger social circle and more spread out activities. They tend to value social approval, teamwork, productivity. Introverts, they are more calm, collected, more subdued. They like to wear clothing that are more subdued, more understated, black and white. They prefer more solid, usually, but not all the time. They like solitude more, solitude activities. They value uniqueness, individuality, depth, and expertise. Yep, so nice. I think guess Rani can, based on this table, you can quickly identify you're an extrovert. Anyone else? Benjamin? Again, I should caution that this table is just a surface behavior. Introvert can have some of this as well, and extrovert can be like this as well. It's not 100%, but it will help you. I would always want people to really think about the correct definition, which is, what do you place more weight on? What is your attitude towards the outside world versus yourself? What do you place more weight on? What do you keep checking on for the feedback? Is it from within or from outside? That is a true definition of introversion and extroversion. I hope that makes sense. So think about the person just now that you think you have problem understand. Is it related to the difference between your introversion and extroversion? Are you more on one side and the other person is more on the other side? Maybe you have the same dimension, the same preference, and maybe it's related to other dimension. Anyone want to share? Okay. Okay, I will share a copy of the slide here so that you can go back and forth for reference. Anyone want to share? Usually I wouldn't have, for me myself, I don't have any problem with an extrovert. I myself is an introvert, but I don't have problem getting along with an extrovert, especially of the similar type to me. But it does affect my preference when it comes to serious relationship or dating. I tend to have a strong preference for introverts because I feel more understood, more on the same. I feel that they are more attractive and more mysterious than extrovert. Extrovert are more, it's like introverts are more like cats, and extrovert are more like,
Please.
golden retriever, I just like cat more than dog, something like that. It's a very personal subjective preference, even though I do get along, but it does affect my taste. Yeah, wavelength can mean many different things, not just introversion, extroversion, I think. I think that introversion, extroversion doesn't affect the wavelength as much as the other two factors later. It's more just the energy level. Benjamin? Are you still there? Any what thing you want to share? If not, let's move on to the next one. This one is probably, I would say, is the biggest barrier to wavelength of communication that a lot of people don't realize. It's very abstract and difficult to understand, so bear with me. This is how you perceive, how you take in the information. It's a bit like a camera lens. We are born with a camera lens. Is it zoom in or zoom out? The kind of thing. It's very hard. You don't have much control over it. It's what we see first. Intuition are more about abstract. People who are intuitive or intuition dominant are more abstract thinker. Sensing dominant people, they are more concrete. So they see the details. So let's say, for example, the picture of the two dogs here. We both recognize they are dogs. Picture of dogs, but very different details, level of details. If you talk about an intuitive person, they don't spend much time or energy to actually figure out the details. But when you talk about sensing dominant person, they want the details. They want, okay, what is the breed of the dog? What is the color of the dog? Is it friendly? Why intuitive people they think about in less detail? Because they spend a lot more of their energy thinking about the connection, the ideas, the connection between things. Like, okay, what does a dog mean? Is it about animal rights? Is it about companionship? What is the meaning of the dog? So they care more about potential connection, about the philosophy of things, less so about the actual dog itself. So sensing people, they are just focused more on the concrete ideas of that, the details. So intuitive, abstract thinker, they care about meaning of thing, metaphor, possibility, potential, symbol, concepts. Concrete people, sensing people, they are more about taste senses, direct concrete experiences. We use both, but in different weight and complexity. We see something first and then we move back. Intuitive people, they naturally see the big picture first, and then they start to zoom into the details. Sensing people, they probably notice the detail first, and then they zoom out. It does affect your strengths and weaknesses as well, because of what you see. And intuitive people are about 20, they are the minority, only about 25% of the population. It makes some pretty big difference if you start paying attention to the workplace or to people close to you. Intuitive people, they tend to communicate in metaphor, parables. They like to generalize. They like to predict. They use long sentences with few specific example. They are more future oriented. They like to think far ahead. They like to think about the implication. They like to think. They are very philosophical in a way. They care more about big ideas and meaning of life, new technology, novel technology. Sensing people, we call them sensor. They're more about the here and now. What, how, what are the details? What are the steps? They have a good memory of details. They're more practical people. They care about practical needs, family, friends, things that are relevant to them. Sorry. So similarly, does that shed any light on the relationship with that special person just now that you have put down? Was there any issue in your communication, understanding the other person because you are different in NS? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, then I'll move on to the next one. This is the last dimension that I want to cover today about Jungian functions or MBTI functions. It's about thinking and feeling. This one is slightly easier to understand, but easy to misunderstand. Just like introvert and extrovert, it's easy to misunderstand because of the naming. So once you have take in, perceive the information in an abstract or more concrete manner, now we have to decide, we have to judge, and that's where thinking and feeling come in. Is it good or bad? It's a criteria that you use to judge whether something is good or bad. It should not be confused with emotions, okay, or lack of emotion. Everyone thinker or feeler both have emotions. Is the correct definition is impersonal versus relational decision making. Thinking dominant people, they like to use impersonal impersonal decision making. They like to put themselves out of the equation, make something, it is logic to decide. Feeling people, they are more relational. Thinking means taking a step back, placing weight more on data, on frameworks, on measurable data. Feeling is very unquantifiable. It's about putting yourself into the shoe of another person or your own shoes to feel what is your reaction to something. You like certain food, you don't like certain food, most simple. Are you more repulsed by certain idea? Are you attracted by certain ideas? It's that a feeling that of what you need and don't, what you attract and what you don't attract. What is repulsive or not? Thinking people are more logical. It's better because of this criteria A, B, C, Y, Z. That number, data. So similarly, using this a quick table, thinker, when they communicate, they are more objective. They are more direct and assertive. Thick skin, can be blunt and argumentative. Career-wise, they like to lead towards system strategy. Not all the time, but they tend to prefer. I'm sure you can find a lot more of them in engineering, technical things. And values-wise, they value competency, problem solving, measurable results. Feeler, on the other hand, they are more people and value focused, more sensitive and empathetic, diplomatic. They tend to gravitate towards careers that are in helping, teaching, psychology, arts, and literature. They value connection, doing good, charity, harmony, you know. So again, reflect on yourself and the other person that you want to understand. Is there any point of conflict, anything that you think is a cause of differences between the two of you? I mean, for me, even though I am a feeler, I think I'm naturally more a feeler, but because I have a business background, and as a guy in an Asian society, I tend to force myself to be more logical. I do have problem with quite a lot of time in the past where I accidentally offend people who are more feeling driven. Even though actually I think I'm quite good with empathize with people, but only if I give the chance to really know them and if there's enough time. But in a business context, usually I tend to use feeling, I thinking a lot more, uh, to appear more professional, and I use it too much sometimes. I accidentally offend people who are more feeling dominant. Anyone want to share? Rani? Yeah, I understand. You wear your heart on your sleeve more. Even though you are an extrovert, I think being an extrovert might kind of counteract that a bit. I think the most sensitive people can be a more like introvert feeler. They are probably the most sensitive people, but they also make the best poets and artists. Introvert feeler, they make very good artists because they're so sensitive. They're very in touch with their feeling. Elaine, Benjamin, any comments?
Nope, thank you.
How can we see people as who they are and not affected by the behavior? That's a very good question, actually. Yeah, I think learning about this framework, having a bit of more of an intellectual screening in front of you will definitely help, because a lot of time our reaction to other people's behaviors stem from our own insecurities. So having a certain intellectual filter framework here will, one, put a distance between you and your feeling. And second, it makes you more secure about yourself. I think in my training, it's not in this session, but usually in some of my training and courses, we usually start with self-awareness, embracing our insecurity. You know, if you are a feeler, like Rani just said just now, we have to work on, okay, you have to accept that you are a feeler. And we have to dig a bit deeper and understand, okay, what is your strengths and weaknesses? You know, you shouldn't try to force yourself to be a thinker or have a lot of insecurity regarding being a feeler. You can either work to improve on your weaknesses or you embrace it, you know, like you work on your strengths. But you have to be you have a clear self-awareness. And if you are secure about ourselves, usually you realize that, you know, we are not so affected by other people's behavior anymore, because we know who we are. They say, oh, why are you, let's say, okay, oh, why you feel so much? Why are you so sensitive? Because that's who you are. That is your strength. You know, you are a thinker. I don't see you as a blunt and aggressive or whatever. That's who you are. Of course, I don't condone, maybe if it's too much, you have to work on it. But at the same time, I see us for who you are. So I hope that answers the question, Benjamin. Is that have a sense of a sense of security about yourself, and understand people using a more intellectual framework, not so that you are not affected. Yeah, so I hope, I mean, okay, I won't dive too much into your reflection exercise here, but yeah, do think about one or two special people and use what you have learned so far later. Put out a few points. Are they more thinker or feeler? Usually, the more different you are in the skills, the more likely the conflict, harder for you to understand. I hope that you can empathize with them better. So as promised, I will go to this. Okay, I have another question. The last step will be the second framework that I will give you. Rani have a question. Is it true opposite attract? Yes and no. And again, I think it probably help with the initial attraction, the attraction part, but it might cause problem later with the compatibility. I think it will be more relevant later. I will also use some statistic later after this section. I will show you some statistics on the happiness level of different pairing, different types. Then you understand more about. I think definitely it will help with your attraction at the beginning, but yeah, be careful with too much differences. So build upon what you have learned so far on Jungian cognitive dimensions, thinking, feeling, introvert, extrovert, intuition, sensing, I'm going to give you one step further to learn about temperaments. Temperament is not a new thing, whether it's about zodiac, horoscope. No, there have been always different temperaments. that people have used. Fire, someone, like fire, wind. People tend to use elemental ideas to represent temperaments. Temperament is usually bigger than personalities. They are more general. So I'm going to introduce to you an MBTI temperaments developed by psychologist David Kiersey using MBTI that you have learned just now. So he proposed that there are 4 distinct temperament group. So if you have 16 MBTI personalities, they are grouped into 4 big groups of temperaments. Each group have 4 personalities. So NF, the idealist group, have INFP, INFJ, ENFP, ENFJ. They all have NF, or intuitive and feeling, in the middle. NT, they all have intuitive and thinking in the middle. And they are the minority in the population, as you expected of intuitive, 25 to 30%, just you learned just now. Then there are 2 flavors of sensing people. Sensing with the letter P. P stand for, okay, I haven't talked about P and J. I don't want to talk too much about it, even though it's in MBTI as a 4th letter, but it's invented recently by MBTI, and it's not part of the original work by Carl Jung. It's a bit of fuzzy idea, but I will talk about it now. So perceiving P, talk about people who are more spontaneous. They're not so structured in their life, in their work. They prefer to go with the flow. They tend to do things a bit more last minute. J, judging, it's not about being judgmental, but J people, they are more organized. They like to do things step by step. They like to follow KPI and milestones. They want to finish one thing and then move on to another thing. Very steady people. That's J people. So SP people, they are more spontaneous. They are artisans, 30% of the population. SP. SJ are the biggest group. Someone you meet in life, or you go for dating, whatever, is most likely the Chinese is going to be a guardians. SJ, 40% of the population. So I will give you a quick image of each of them here. Idealist is INFP, INFJ, ENFP, ENFJ. But basically the idea is that they combine intuition and feeling. If you remember, intuition is about abstract thinking, big picture thinking, potential of thing, and combined with feeling, which is a lot more relational, moral. It's about people and people. That result in a personality with a core drive to maximize human potential. They want to inspire people and empower many other people, humanity itself. So a lot of change maker, advocator, human right fighter, they are most likely an F, because they are very eloquent. They value helping people and move things to the next level when it comes to humanity. So they value, if you have a partner or someone close to you who are NF, you should know that they value harmony, collaboration. They are very sensitive. They love ideas. They love big picture and visions. They are very open-minded. They're often teachers, preachers, psychologists, counselors, social workers, or the more creative one can be like producers, movie producers, writers, poets. As contrast to NF, you have NT, the rational. They're also abstract people, big picture people, but they combine it with thinking, which is a lot more logical, a lot more data driven. So this, instead of caring too much about humanity, they care more about the technical competency, achieve mastery in their technical field. Think about people like Einstein. Think about Einstein is more an example of an introvert. But think about this business magnate, like Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates. They tend to be extroverts, but also belong to this anti-rational group, where they value professional growth, competency, deep thinking, having fun, and mental stimulation. And they tend to gravitate towards careers that are like scientist, lecturer, business consultant, CEO. If you have a colleague or a partner who are this type, You should know that they are fun, but they can be quite tough to handle because they can get bored very easily. They want challenges. They're ambitious people. They are often workaholic. And yeah, if you have someone like that, you should know their strengths and weaknesses. They are very smart, very competent people, but they also need a lot of time to pursue their technical interest. Any questions so far about these first two groups? So just now I mentioned about I tend to go for women. I used to idealize and go for women who are very independent, very smart. They tend to belong to this rational group. And I should have known better that that's who they are. That is their pattern. That they are usually very workaholic. They can earn good income, but they probably won't have time unless they really choose to focus on family. Usually they don't. Then you either you have to make a compromise, you have to accept them, or you have to move on. Yeah, because their career and work are very important to them. Having mental stimulation is important to them. They're looking for mind mates, not soulmates. Guardian, as I mentioned just now, the most popular group, they are governed by S or sensing, or in particular introverted sensing. They are very organized people. They have good memory for details. They like to uphold the past and tradition. I wouldn't say they are traditional, but they are usually the pillar of our society. They are very stable. They tend to work in jobs that are that whole reputation and whole stability. They care a lot about duty and stability in life. The core drive is to be responsible and reliable. They value clear-cut rules, hierarchy, tradition, dependability, traditional success. They are detail-oriented people. Last one, artisan. They are sensing, but I like to call them the James Bond type because they are very perceiving, or they are very spontaneous. So instead of being, like Guardian, who are a lot more step by step, when very structured, these people, they like to improvise. They are more driven by extroverted sensing, the ability to adapt to the environment. They want quick, impressive results. They make for very good salespeople, performer especially, or athletes, because they can react. They have very good senses of what's going on, and take advantage of the environment. So they make very good performers, singer, sport players, or sales. They are quick, they are practical. They are good with five sensory experiences. They are fun people. They gravitate. They can excel in careers that require aesthetic or motor sensory finesse. So what I give you is the four temperaments. So I think, I guess it helped a lot with selecting your partner and understanding your core of your partner as well. And so with this in mind, let me show you some quick interesting statistic. This is a research done on the happiness level of different pairing of different temperaments. So they based on many different couples, and then they measure the reported satisfaction level with the marriage. So some of the thing you notice here is that the most happy people are SJ and SJ, Guardian. They are somewhat more traditional, and they are most happy together. Then NF and NF, which is two idealists, both care about big picture and humanity. They actually love being together. But after that, then you start not seeing a lot of pattern after that. So it's dropped. There's some pattern that I can show you. The lowest is okay. The lowest is like NF. They make some of the lowest. group, and F with SP only 51%, and F and SJ 46%. You see NT and SJ also very low. I guess NT, rational people, they want so much mental stimulation. And they meet an SJ partner who are very traditional, very duty oriented. It bore the hell out of them. That's what I reckon. It's like they really find the partner too boring, not enough challenge. It's very sad. If they can't recognize each other's strength, then they just unhappy. They are just unhappy. So some of the rule of thumb here, surface is go with the same temperaments. Usually you can't go wrong. I mean, it might not be the most happy, most satisfying, but it's a safe option. S-type, sensing people are generally happier. They are more in the top or middle part. I guess they are more practical and more here and now people. They don't question and think too much. They don't overthink, It is what it is. NF, idealist people have the most to lose. Sorry. They can be very happy here on top, but they also can be very unhappy if they marry someone with different temperaments. Also, some of the most unhappiest couple are due to the S and N device, sensing and intuition, like I mentioned just now. It's very invisible, but it's the biggest barrier you can think of. Some of the most unhappy couple are N and S, you can see from here. But of course, there are some bigger questions like, is happiness everything? This one just measure happiness, but sometimes like NT, they want growth, or SJ, they want stability. It's not always about happiness. Maybe happiness have more to do with F people, feeling. But I think it's an interesting insight. So, like for example, in my case, of course, a lot of people tend to say that any mature couple, mature individual can be together if they can understand each other. But even from my point of view, of course, it always depends on the individuals, but I will most likely not to go with a sensing person because I feel that they won't understand me. Very difficult for them to truly understand my depth. I might gravitate toward introvert as well, as I mentioned just now. I prefer introverts because I feel they understand me better. I don't have much other preferences on the other dimensions. But if you have this kind of understanding, you can read people and you can come to know what to expect. And in the end, you are the one who make choices, I can't make the choices for you. Any observation, any questions so far on this temperaments portion? Rodney, Benjamin? Who is iPhone XS Max? I see. Do you have a better sense of your partner personality now? I hope that, okay, this is not a married counseling session. It's better to be done one-on-one, but yeah, I hope it shed more light on your relationship issue. Yes, Elaine. Of course, it can be subjective. I mean, if you are a sensing person, you are more practical person, I think you might not be so sensitive about the NS divide. But especially if you are an intuitive person, an N person, like me, you're quite sensitive about it. The moment you see it, you realize that, okay, you are the minority, that the world is made for sensing people and not for you. Then you feel that you are much better off with someone who actually can see the world that you see. Two different worlds, very big differences if you're an intuitive person. Yeah, Rani, I hope I can help. If you want, you can get in touch with me. I will show you a link to get in touch with me. I can talk one-on-one, build upon what you have learned today. See any more message. So I hope you have gained some insight so far today. And I guess there are a lot more to learn. As I mentioned just now, there are 8 functions and there are different stack, cognitive function stack. You have to understand it's a whole different level, whole different world the moment you can understand not just 2 or 3 dimensions, but 8 different cognitive function, what that made up of who you are, different level. You realize, wow, it's so much insight, way beyond what I covered today. But at the same time, you should know that there's a reason why most people only know about introvert and extrovert because it's so difficult to learn. It's insightful, but it's not easy. It's very abstract. It's good if you can get the guidance, to save you years and start to put it. You learn the fundamental right and accurately, and then you start to put it into practice with guidance from people. That will help you and save you many years of heartbreak of time of trial and errors in relationships. It make you a lot more confident in dealing with people. So again, yeah, so there are a few ways you can get in touch with me if for people who are more serious. I mean, I do have a weekly webinar on different topics. Next week will be one on Enneagram, an introduction to the basic of Enneagram if you're interested. But if anyone is serious about learning about the foundation of this Enneagram MBTI framework and have guidance on how to apply them in your life, you can consider what I'm building now. I think it's probably very unique. I'm building with Theodora. Um, she's my partner from Germany, and she specialized in Enneagram, where I specialize more in MBTI, like how I have shown you. This 6-week program, you will get 6 live sessions with the instructors, and then to go through the frameworks as well as to understand who you are, your self-awareness. Then we will have a lot of exercise after each session to make sure that you understand and apply the concept well. And a small group, we are still doing pilot, so we keep it small, so we can get your feedback as well as we do have a significant bonus for early bird because we are still gathering feedback. Usually it will be a lot more expensive, and this is going. I think in the future, if we start to have more, usually if you come to coaching packages like this, it won't be $300. It's quite comprehensive, and self-awareness is planned for us. It's just part of a much bigger foundation. In the future, we will have self-mastery, which is emotional mastery. Then we have leadership and influence, which is how to influence and adapt to other people. That is another level as well. So if you're keen, you can scan the link, drop, submit the form, because I think we reserve this offer in March. Another option beyond this free webinar, which I do to group, is that this is one-on-one coaching, short coaching. You will have 2 one-on-one coaching training session with me. If you have any question beyond this webinar about how to apply it, if you have an issue with your partner, your boss, how you can have a strategy to be more confident, how to empathize and how to resolve conflict with your partner better using MBTI and even Enneagram, get in touch with me. Again, it's on offer as well. New year, new year, new year offer, and I would love to listen more from our community members as well. So just 2 sessions. You have pre-work questionnaire and test, and then you have customized feedback after that as well. And that's it. Is there anyone else have any questions for me? I hope this have been insightful for you today. Does everyone have the, okay, let me copy the slide here again. You need to view it later. Anyone have question about the materials today? Rani, Benjamin? So who is S Max? Oh, okay, he's on. Tahir Khan. Hi, Tahir. Anyone have any questions? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I will send everyone the link later, or yeah, you can scan it. Again, we are building pilot programs, so especially the 299 program is quite rare because Theodora is actually quite a well-known coach from Germany. So you get two trainers give you customized feedback from their own perspective. Elaine have a question. Direct message. Temperament is only 4 types. Yes, you can say that. So there are 16 MBTI types. They are categorized into 4 temperaments. So yes, technically there are 4 temperaments, 4 types. It's a much faster way for you to read people actually compared to 16 personalities, which is either you have to take the test or you need to be very expert in reading people. You need many years of practicing to be able to read one of the 16 types. But temperament is very fast. I think the moment you understand NSTF, JP, and the 4 temperament is very fast for you to understand someone. And it's different between light and day between the different temperaments. You won't be able to unsee it the moment you see that someone is anti, or wow, you know what to expect, you know. Thank you, Rani. Yeah, looking forward. Just let me know via the form, or I will follow up with you, Rani. Is it? Yeah, I will let you know about the schedules. Any other question, Benjamin? I haven't heard of you. Rani, have you submitted the form yet? Let me check. Let's see it yet. Okay, sure. If not, then yeah, I think it's good that I managed to finish early today. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep in touch. Next week will be let me just quickly drop the link for the next week one here if you want to join. Just here to go here. There will be one on become a better leader and set better boundary next week. It's on Enneagram, which is about emotional. It's quite different from this one, from Theodora. Should be the Pianta. So yeah, you want, you can join us. Otherwise, yeah, thank you so much. Have a good week ahead. Good night, everyone. Good. Thank you, Rani. Bye, everyone. We stop sharing.